What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 130, my folks. And, well, the intensity of October sports is well underway, isn't it? You've got postseason baseball and the Dodgers. Tip of the cap. Dave Roberts and the fellas within sniffing distance of another World Series appearance in search of back-to-back championships. And you know I'm happy for Dave. You know I am, because, well, he took a lot of unwarranted heat for the longest time, and then he broke through with another championship. And, well, the Roaches are laying in wait for him. And case in point, Blake Snell. Man, he's pitching a masterpiece of jewel. And he gets through 8 innings, basically untouched, faced the minimum shutout postseason baseball, Don Larson territory. And, well, Dave Roberts, who had in his mind, I believe, this idea, if I can get Blake Snell to give me 8, and then I turn it over to the pen and shut it down. And, well, Blake Snell gave you such a sparkling 8, such a sensational 8. Well, you could seriously make a case, let him finish it off. But I think Dave had already sort of made up his mind, and I don't believe he asked Blake Snell, can you finish it? Because you know Blake Snell would have been like, give me the ball. He pulled Blake for the bullpen, and then they start coughing and wheezing and damn near choked up the game. And the Roaches were beside. They couldn't wait to come running out to get Dave. But now they pulled that game out. And then the following day, well, Dave said, no, you won't catch me on the same foolishness. And so Yamamoto, he said, you got me through 8. You finish it. Give me 27 outs. And Yamamoto said, will do. And he did. And so the Dodgers, right on the precipice of another World Series appearance. But this episode is not about baseball. And October, here we are now. The Lakers about to tip off their regular season begins shortly, and wow, I mean, I just saw Skinny Luka in the preseason. Woo! He looked svelte, he looked smooth, he looked centered, he looked ready to roll. And so, I mean, Bron's gonna be out. They say sciatica. I'm like, oh. But I'm excited about the possibilities with this Lakers squad. You know, AR looks like he's out to demonstrate that what we saw of him in the playoffs has been exercised. Hopefully so anyway. But this episode is not about the Lakers. I do have an upcoming Lakers preview episode, though, so look out for that. This episode, however, 130, is, well, it's to chronicle the voyage of the SS Ramball, because the Rams, they are in the middle of their quest for Super Bowl glory. And so, well, I told you in the NFL preview episode I did, a few weeks back now, that I thought the Rams could get to the bye at 5-2. And here they are, 4-2. 4-2, about to deal with Jacksonville and jolly old London, you know. And so, or is it Manchester, whatever. UK. At any rate, Jacksonville, also 4-2. A surprising 4-2, in my opinion, anyway. And so, well, this is a big game for the Rams. Get to the bye at 5-2 as I predicted, and you are in good position. Even though I will admit now, Rams have looked a little shaky, haven't they? And so listen, the last couple episodes, 128 and 129, these have been epic episodes. And so I'm going to keep this one on the brief side. And we'll be back on the other side of the Jacksonville game, and we'll analyze where the league is shaping up now. We're about a third of the way through the season or so, give or take. We'll take a look around the league and those kinds of things, and we'll definitely look at what's ahead for the Rams after the bye. But for this episode, I just want to hand out 2 or 3 game balls, apply the principle, and keep it moving. Yeah. So, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let me just preface it by saying I do think the bye is coming at a good time for the Rams. McGenius needs to use the time that he's going to have after the Jags game to really focus on tightening up the ship. You're leaking in key areas of the vessel, coach. And so, for example, the kicking game, it's a mess. It's a sassy pool of messy fools, if I could quote Fred Sanford, or was that Aunt Esther? At any rate, he's got some things that they absolutely need to clean up, because the kicking game is pretty much right there on the borderline of atrocious. And I don't know what it is, the protections, if it's Cardi, I don't know what it is. But they need to deal with that, because that is something that will doom you in the playoffs. And, well, they've got some injuries also. And so now you saw Puka goes down, and man, I sure wish when these guys go down in the first half of a game, if they just stay out instead of coming back running a play or two and then going down for the rest of the game, because on the degenerate side of the ledger, you're taking bread out of me mouth. But I digress. Puka and others need some time to heal up and get right. I don't know if Puka will be available for the Jacksonville game. At this point, I would think it's almost safer to sit him out. Sit him out. Run with Tay and with Whittington and with let X get some run and tutu. So, but it depends. It depends on how he's doing. They need him after the bye down the stretch. So to miss one game if he's got some gimpy issues, it's not the worst thing in the world. You're going on a long flight, across the pond and all that business. So just a little more unsolicited advice from the outskirts of the city, if you know what I'm saying. At any rate, there was one point in the game when it seemed to me that Coach McGenius really was so unsure, so uncertain about his kicking game that he just said, hey, it was an obvious 3-point field goal situation in a low scoring defensive game out in the elements. McGenius said, no, go for this. I'm not running Cardi out here. And they, of course, turnover on downs. So there's some things that definitely need to be worked out. Having said that, I'm going to chalk up the, let's say, the sluggishness of the Rams offense. I'm going to chalk it up to a combination of being out in the elements and facing a Baltimore defense that really showed up and wanted to assert itself on this particular day. And so I'm just going to put it there. Matty out in the rain or cold. Although he had a great game in Philly, didn't he, in the postseason? But at any rate, he's had some clunkers too out in the elements. And so I'm just going to chalk this one up to, hey, they got the dub. That's where I'm going to put this. And as we all know, if there's two things we know that L's and dubs and L's, it's a zero-sum game. Which one did you get? McG got the dub. That's why sometimes I call him McDub. That's one of the reasons. And the other thing that we know is that all dubs are 10s, right? All dubs are beautiful. We know this. No ugly dubs. So we extend that grace to McWonder and the Rams. And so let's go ahead now, having said all that, and give out some game balls. And so I'm going to tell you right now, the game balls are all on the defensive side of the ball for this particular game. Let's look at it. I want to give a game ball first of all to Nate Landman. Landman. Wow. He's all over the place. He lights up the stat sheet. You see him pop off the screen. Not just this game, every week. No. This isn't his first game ball that I've distributed out to him. And in this particular game out in Baltimore, he had 8 tackles and 9 assisted tackles on top. And so, by far, he was your leading tackler on the day. And you could see him darting and flying all over the place. He brought that punch-out technique, and he has employed it with precision. And so, Nate Landman, game ball. And, as an aside, they say Nate Landman was born in Zimbabwe. You don't say. Well, then maybe that might help explain the name somewhat. I mean, like you say, hey, his predecessors, hey, what brought you to Zimbabwe? Landman. Yeah. Game ball, sir. Game ball. B. Young, 0. Byron Young. Well, he had 4 tackles, 4 more assisted tackles, 2 sacks, had him grazing on Baltimore grass. And so, game ball, Byron Young. And then one more game ball, vroom, V8. Their verse, listen, the law offices of Young and Verse, that could be like a rapper's name, huh? Young Verse. Yo. Now a word or two from Young Verse. Young Verse, come on up to the stage. I mean, speaking of rap names, there's a young kid playing college football. His name is, ready? The Realist. I kid you not. The Realist. That's his name. It was like his mother just said, I'm going to give him his rap name before he's born. What should I call him? Oh, The Realist. And then if he decides he wants to be a rapper, he doesn't have to change it or come up with anything. It's already there on his birth certificate. Turns out he's a college football player and pretty damn good. So I'm sure you will be hearing a lot about The Realist. Son of a bird. You know what I'm saying? All right, again, I digress. Now, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do my thing. Let's apply the principle. Yes, the 25-30 principle. Let's apply it. Let's look at it. Now, let's start with the victors. Let's start with the Rams. Well, Matt Stafford, 17 to 26. Good. 26 for 181. He had a tutty. No big eye strikes. Very good. He was sacked twice. So 26 pass attempts, 2 sacks. That's a total of 28 dropbacks. Check, ding, 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 check, McWonder. That's how you do it, sir. So, good enough. What about on the rushing side? Well, see, that's where it didn't quite hold up, okay? On the rushing side, K. Will, 13 carries, 50 yards. He did get in the end zone, but 13, well, that's not many. And then Deuces Corum, he had 5 carries for 23. And then, they gave the young rookie tight end, Ferguson, they gave him a tote for nothing. He got a 0 yards on his 1 carry. So, only 19 runs. Only 19 runs. That's short, like this episode is going to be. And so, that's a balance differential of -9. -9 for the Rams. Hit 1 metric, miss 1 metric. Let's look at the Ravens wearing the L's on their heads. Well, they didn't have LaMarvelous, see? And that's the thing. You struggle with them, and they didn't even have LaMarvelous. But, they got the dub. Cooper Rush, well, he was 11 of 19 before he got benched. 11 of 19 for 72 yards and a poltergeist strike. Ouchie. And then they brought in Huntley to replace him. He went 10 of 15 for 68 yards. That's a total, though, of 34 dropbacks. And then they were sacked 4 times, 38 pass attempts. They missed that metric. And then let's look at the rushing. Baltimore's known for rushing. They got King Henry. I don't understand why they don't run it more. Well, let's see. Well, let's look at it. This game, 24 carries for King Henry. 24, 122 yards, 5.1 yards a pop. That sounds more like Derrick Henry, doesn't it? 24 for 122. It would have been a little more, but he got stuffed on the 4th down. That was beautiful, wasn't it? So he had 24. Huntley ran for 3, and Hill had 6 totes, and Andrews had 3. They had 36 totes. Okay, 36 run plays. That's a check mark. Ding, ding, ding. So they ended up with a -2 balance differential. They actually had a better balance differential than did the Rams. However, the thing is, you see, well, they had all them damn turnovers. The Ravens, they lost 2 fumbles, coughed them up, and then they had a visit from the poltergeist. And so that's 3 turnovers versus the Rams only had the 1. And so when you look at the numbers, Baltimore statistically seemed to me to outplay the Rams. They had more total yards, more rushing yards. The Ravens had, they had 20, damn near 25 more total plays than the Rams, which led to that big time of possession discrepancy. That's another thing when you don't like the run game. When you got your primary running back only carrying 12 or 13 times, your time of possession is going to be out of whack. You overextend your defense. We've been through all of this, my folks, time after time, McLauper. You know the deal. But at any rate, when you add it all up, despite a numerical advantage, too many mistakes by the Ravens, too many mistakes. And so, yeah, they had 80 yards and penalties. And so the Rams were able to hold them off and move to a 4-2 record, 4-2. And when you look at it, the best teams, most of the teams in the NFL that are in the upper echelon are in that 4-2 range. KC is really the only, I would say, probably quality team that's at 3-3 or lower. And then you've got the 2 at 5-1. There are 2 teams at 5-1. Tampa Bay, I do believe in them. The Bake Show, ever since McGenius gave the baker a recipe. He took it on the road and been cooking up a storm. I like Tampa Bay. And the other 5-1 team, though, interesting, it's the Indianapolis Colts. Isn't that interesting? The only two 5-1 teams in the league, and the Colts only lost to the Rams. Huh? How about it? And so now, here we are. Got the NFC West, 3 teams at 4-2, including the Rams, Seattle, and them damn Niners. And so it is going to be interesting down the stretch, this you know. And so now at this point, what I'm going to ask from you, what I'm going to ask you to do is throw me one of these. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I drop my next video. And the next video won't be long from this video because, as you know, we will be back on the other side of the Jacksonville game in England. And we will chop up the outcome and look around the league and all that business then. But until then, my friends, Scotty says, thank you for watching. One love.